Will big cities like London, New York, Singapore and the like see declining house prices? That's going to be the topic of today's video. Now, coronavirus has exacerbated some of the trends that were happening in the world anyway. More people working remotely, more business going online. And many people have worked out something that they don't need to work and live in London or New York or Singapore to make a decent amount of money, depending on their industry, of course. So many people are asking, does this mean the house prices are likely to soar in value maybe 30 minutes an hour and 30 minutes outside of those big centres? Especially if people are never going to come back to work 5 days a week, or will the big cities fully recover? Now, of course, nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. Look at what's happened in the last year. Nobody saw this coming. However, what I would say is the big cities now are riskier as an asset than they were before. Because if you look at a country like the UK as just one example, real house prices in the UK have actually fallen or are stagnant, as I've said in another video, in the last 12 years. And even compared to 15 years ago, if you compare just an average town in the Midlands in the UK or the North, they're actually, house prices pretty much the same or a bit lower adjusted for inflation compared to 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years ago. They might be higher than 30 or 40 years ago, but they're stagnating and have been stagnating for a long time. Whereas London, property values have gone up a lot. Rental yields are very good in the middle of the UK, Midlands and the North. Whereas in London, people who buy property there, they're looking for property values to go up because, of course, there's only so much people can spend on rent. So rental yields are quite bad in general in London, not every area, but in general. But in the North and the Midlands, rental yields are very good. But of course, people are not hoping for the same kind of capital value appreciation. However, what I would say now is with the property values being where they are, in other words, London, New York, those big cities, California, some of the big cities there, like San Francisco, have seen such enormous growth compared to smaller cities. I think there's a big chance we could actually see that change because the prices are so high in a lot of these big cities and people don't need to live there anymore. Not everyone needs to live there at least. And I think even once the coronavirus has got much better, we're going to see more and more people working from home. And even those people who don't want to work from home constantly, they're going to say, okay, I want to work from the office 2 or 3 days a week, or maybe even 4 days a week, but I want to spend at least 1 or 2 days at home in addition to the weekend and work from home sometimes. And that means more people are going to want to commute in. Commuting in has always been a trend, of course, but I think it's only going to rise. So we've seen a huge change, and we've seen a lot of people, even the last few months, moving out of those big cities in many countries in the world. So I'm not saying we're going to see an enormous crash tomorrow or next year, but I do think we could be seeing some huge changes in the world because the old adage that you need to work in a big city to make a lot of money, at least in some industries, that could completely change. So I think there's going to be some huge changes coming in the next few years and indeed the next decade, especially because you can imagine those younger people coming into the workforce now, the percentage of those people who want to work remotely or at home is probably going to be much higher than older people. So this trend is only going to get bigger over time.